You're at 109 right now.
There was that song, I'm a classic man. I'm a classic man. Well, I am a broken man. Broken man. Let me explain. Let me cook. So, what year was that? 2010 maybe. Or it was 2008. No, it was 2010. Maybe 2012. I don't think it was 2012. All right, but look, how do I know what year it was? Well, in 2010, I started working at this university. All right, and the story that I'm about to tell involves one of my colleagues from that university. You see, we took a trip to this island, this Hawaii like island for South Korea. And one of my colleagues at the university, at the then university where I worked, well, he went along with me on this trip. Okay, so that's how I know. Now, I worked at this university that I'm referring to for 4 years between 2010 and 2014. So, somewhere between there, between 2010 and 2014, we took this trip. I'm pretty sure it was more likely 2010 because later doesn't it just doesn't jive. It doesn't seem like we took it later into my years at the university. It was early on, okay? Yeah, indeed. So the one guy I was working with presently at the new university, and then the other guy was one of my colleagues from the university I had worked for prior to this new university, if you follow what I'm saying, okay? So these guys were my two colleagues, okay? One former, one, current at present. Justin, I believe his name was Justin, and David. I remember David very well, okay? David and Justin. Now, just to give you some idea, now Justin is from New Zealand. David, I believe he's from California. I believe I think he was from California, but he's American, right? Anywho, two white boys, all right? And we took a trip to this Hawaii like island. It's called Jeju Island in South Korea. And these boys told me, now remember, I was up for adventure. I wanted an adventure. I'm like, yes, we're gonna have an adventure on this island. We're gonna see things. We're gonna ride motorcycles. It was very much like I don't know. You know that movie with I think Martin Lawrence, Tim Allen, and a few other guys, and they were all riding on motorcycles or something. Hog something. I don't know. I should probably look it up on Google, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep moving along. You can Google it. All right. Yeah, I think it was Tim Allen who's in that movie. Tim Allen, Martin Lawrence, and they were on motorcycles. They're all buddies. Four, I think, four buddies. Okay, so we were having our adventure together. We were going to rent these little scooters, little motor scooters. Nothing fancy, no big motorcycles, or no Harley Davidson. No, just some little putt putt little scooters. But they were going to get us around this island. All right. Now they told me we were going to have an adventure, so I agreed to the whole trip. I agreed for the adventures. So one of the adventures included us hiking to the summit of Mountain Halla. The Koreans call it Halasan. San means mountain. Halasan. And I really wasn't prepared for the experience. You know what? Be, Immediately upon making that statement, I recant it. I take it back. I was more prepared for that experience at that point in my life than I am at present. Okay, man, that if I had to do everything that I did then today, boy oh boy, I don't know how I don't know how long it would take me. Let me give you some more details. It took us 4 hours to reach the summit. Okay, we walked up the mountain continuously and we just continued for 4 hours. All right. And by the time I got to the summit, I must tell you, like, I was drenched in sweat from, I was wearing a hat, a ball cap. The ball cap was soaking wet. The sweat dripped from my brow, from my forehead down my neck, hit my shirt, hit the shirt that I was wearing. The shirt absorbed all of the sweat from my shoulders all the way down to my waist. And the shoulder, excuse me, the t-shirt, no, it was more like a polo shirt. The shirt that I was wearing, well, the sweat, it bled into my short pants. So I had about 2 or 3, maybe 2 inches below my waistline where the sweat from my shirt had been absorbed by my short pants. So I was soaking wet, right? Soaking wet from all of the sweat. Excellent adventure, but I'm just giving you some idea. Like, man, it was hot. It was 4 hours of continuous walking up the mountain. And by the time we got finished with it, it was a beautiful experience, of course, but beautiful memories. And the having the accomplishment of saying that I hiked up Mount Halla or Halasan. I mean, all of that is just like, yes, I've lived, right? That's quite an accomplishment. And I also say that because doing it alone was probably not possible for me. Having those guys with me, they told me, Larry, we're gonna hike up the mountain, and I was pretty fit. I wasn't like, man, I can't do that. I said, yeah, guys, we're gonna do it. But for what it took to get all the way up to that mountain, just continuously walking, hiking up the mountain, oh man, that was more than I expected, period. But being with those guys, I had, guys to share stories with, talk to. We took breaks together, stopped. They had a little restaurant or something along the way. You can fill your backpack up with some snacks and some water to keep you hydrated and so to quell the hunger pains and what have you. And so we made our stops along the way, few though they were. We made our stops, but we made a whole adventure out of it, and we got to the top together, and then we went all the way back down the mountain. Okay, so that's a huge advantage. But I began this podcast by saying I'm a broken man. Now let's go back. Now wait a minute. By the accomplishment that I stated, by the adventure that I had, by the retelling of that story, there's no brokenness in that story. None of that. That was adventure. That was accomplishment. That was courage. That was, you know, nature. That was endurance, success. Beautiful, right? All of that. That's what that was. But again, we're going to come back to this statement that I made. I'm a broken man. All right. But for the experience that I detailed, I was not broken. I was a whole man. I was living. Okay. I was living. All right. Let's just leave that there. Living. Okay. Now, I do have to, in order to connect the next story to this story about the hiking trip, I have to say that while I was hiking up the mountain, I took a photo of myself. Now, it wasn't a selfie because I wasn't into selfies, okay? What I did was I took a picture of my shadow. It was a hot day, as I mentioned. The sun was beaming down. And so rather than snap a photo of my face full on, a selfie, I took a picture of my shadow. And when I took a picture of my shadow cast onto the the path that I was walking along, that we were walking along, that everyone who hikes this mountain was walking along. And my shadow cast itself on rocks. Now you have to, that's a very important detail. That whole road, the road, the path that we took to get all the way up to the mountain, well, excuse me, the mountain itself is a dormant volcano. And so there's volcanic rocks all along the path. Okay. And so that was one of the reasons why it was such a treacherous 4 hour hike, because much of the path we were walking on these rocks that were uneven, and it was rough, you know. So there I was. I wanted to capture the rocks that we were walking on, and so I took a photo of the rocks with my shadow casting, you know, my shadow over the rocks. And when I did that, I thought it was a nice little artsy, creative photograph that I took, and then I uploaded it one day to Facebook. One of the comments that I received at that time, it's more than, it's probably like 15 years ago. One of the comments that I received under the photos, and I remember who posted the comment, but I won't mention his name or whatever. But he said, this picture is profound. This is an interesting photo. Okay. And then he went on to say something to the effect, it's like you are, I don't know if he said it's like or whatever. I think he said it, clearly. Oh, you're a broken man. This is a poetic picture, That was his interpretation of what he saw. He saw the photo I had taken of my shadow, the rocks under, now there were, these were big rocks, but they were broken up, in pieces. And so he said, "Look, your shadow on these rocks. These rocks are disjointed." He said, you're a broken man, because if those rocks were fused together, if they were whole, if they were solid, I would be unbroken." And then by broken, he meant, oh, your spirit is broken, and um, yeah, your mind and your heart, is broken, and just your life is in shambles. You're broken. These are the ideals that come to, that rise to the top when I ponder this idea that he was saying, broken man. Well, at that point in time when that photo was taken, I was not a broken man. I did not think of myself as a broken man at all. I was a very well adjusted, able bodied man who was living his best life and enjoying it. Now, this other person who saw me, this was his assessment. This was his projection onto me and onto my picture. Because remember, I'm not posting a picture of, trying to say, "Oh, pity me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a broken man. Look at me and look at my folly. Look at my life." No, I'm not doing all that. I'm just saying, "Hey, man, look at me. I'm hiking. I thought it would be more interesting to take a photo of my shadow than it would to be to just take a selfie like anybody else. Everybody just taking selfies. Let me take a photo of my shadow on these rocks, and also not only show you my shadow, but also show you the surface on which we're hiking. So it's to show you this is where I am. If you can make out my shadow, then you know. And if you're a friend of mine and you know who I am, maybe you can. And if I post it to my Facebook account, then you're like, dang, that's Larry's shadow. Where is he? Little interesting, intriguing, artsy, sort of thing. Because for me, everything was just too narcissistic and just look at me, look at me. So anyway, so that's what it was. So I was not a broken man at that time. Now, fast forward, what I think is about 15 years to at present, and boy, oh boy, man, America. I don't have the contacts who are as adventurous as as I did in Korea. My contacts aren't adventurous. I'll call someone, one of my contacts, and say, "Hey, let's do this," and they say, "No, nah, it's too expensive. I don't like that. Don't want to do that." And I'm just like, "Huh, okay." Um, or I'll get a message and say that someone, maybe not a friend, but someone that I know, has already gone and done something, didn't invite me or didn't. Yeah, I guess I take it personally when they don't invite me. Like, hey, I'm an adventurous dude. I want to do some things. Why not tell me about it? I do have a friend who has invited me on some adventures, and I'm in a group. I am in a group chat right now, where activities do come across my radar, right? But I just want to draw the distinction. Like, I'm not so well connected as I was before with a group who are just ready to get up and go. Um, but yeah, okay. I do have to explain myself because I'm contradicting myself. I'm in a group with people who are ready to, you know, plan events, and I'm unwilling to go. Well, what the heck is wrong with me? You're talking about other people. Well, what about yourself? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Um, just to be clear, some of those events that have come across my radar in that particular group, yeah, well, they weren't the kind of adventures, that that I crave at the moment. And yeah, I guess I have the same complaints that I get when I suggest activities for my friends. Hey, let's do this. Nah, it's too expensive. I don't want to do that. Don't like that. Too much walking, too much this, too much that. Yeah, I have those same comments. But yeah, but years ago I was more apt to just get up and go and do it, and I haven't gotten up to do anything. You know what? Let me give you another example. I was I was a member of a hiking club. Now I did not ask to be a part of the hiking club. I worked at another university, and my colleague said, come join our hikes Saturdays." And I said, "Okay." And it turns out I went on these hikes, three or four different hikes with the group. And that was a beautiful experience. Sometimes I couldn't even keep up. I remember one hike in particular, I could not keep up. And I had to turn around and go back down the mountain. It was just too treacherous. I was just like, I can't do this. And that was about 10 years ago. So within the last 3 years, I put on 10 to 15 pounds, 10 to 12 pounds or so. Within the last 3 years. Within the last 10 years, can you imagine how many pounds I put on? But anyway, um, so this whole idea of being a broken man, like, for what I had, I mean, I guess I'm just talking. I'm complaining about regrets because I had my situation and circumstances were different just 6 years ago, and they're so different now that I'm just like, I was better. I was better before. I was a better version of myself before. Like I said, I was at least 20 pounds lighter. I was uh, I was $20,000 richer. I was I don't know. So many things have changed, but life is all about change, and so we have to, you know, adjust. And things are getting better, but but I had to talk about that. And I guess the reason why I brought up the broken man thing is that because irrespective of the fact that change is constant, irrespective of the fact that I had to go through what I've had to go through, okay? Irrespective of that, the position I was in before and the position that I am now in, the difference between those positions is why I arrived at the conclusion that I did. That today I am a broken man. Like, man, I had all of that. I had all of that before. So here I am just working back, trying to get back to that point, at least financially, you know. Now, if I were to say that, yes, I'm truly a broken man and I don't have those things that I once had, therefore I am worse off, then that would not be precise because the reality is that I'm better off than I was, even though I don't have what I had at that time. So it's important to look at things from different perspectives. Um, I'm trying to do that, but I guess there are actually no buts. I wanted to record a podcast about this, about about life and its changes, and I also wanted to start off with that story about Mountain Halla, because man, I hiked up Mountain Halla, baby, Halla-san in South Korea. Shoot, this is IC-10-9. I'm a bad man. Shoot. What you talking about? Have you done it? Have you been to Mount Halla? And let me tell you, Mount Halla is I think I said it earlier, it's the highest point. It's the highest mountain, the highest summit in South Korea. It's not actually in South Korea. It's on Jeju Island. So but Jeju Island is still Korea. So in all of Korea, the highest summit, the highest mountain is Halla Mountain, a dormant volcano, and I hiked up there. Yep. So that's the end of this episode. Hiking Mount Halasan, beautiful experience. I'd recommended to anyone traveling in South Korea. I'd recommend it. Beautiful experience all around.
You're at 109 right now.
Peace and blessings.